Hey there, Altenew friends, welcome back to another perfect pairing with me. There is yet another addition to the Essential Textures collection from Altenew. Let's dive into 3 techniques to make better use of your better press backgrounds. Before we get into today's project, make sure you subscribe to the Altenew channel for more card making and paper crafting tutorials. My Perfect Pairings with Jaycee series explores crafting techniques that effortlessly blend sure-to-love new releases and well-loved Altenew favorites. If you love these kinds of crafty tutorials, hit the bell icon so you'll be notified of my videos airing on the 2nd and 4th Sunday. I have 3 better press plates from the Essential Textures collection from Altenew, and the goal is to showcase 3 examples and techniques for creating better backgrounds that are also balanced for their respective focal points. Let's first talk about the Essential Textures Rustic Burlap press plate. The first thing I notice about this background image is that the pattern is fairly uniform and not too prominent. I'll start this card with Rustic Burlap by pressing this texture on Vanilla Cream cardstock. This cardstock coordinates with the other Delectable Delights colors in the family, so I'll move down the gradients of ink and use almond butter to ink up the plate. I'll also add milk chocolate in random areas to add a little dark variations on the background. After I run this through my die cutting machine, I'll use hazelnuts, again from the Delectable Delights, and a large ink blending tool to create a central halo blend of ink. I'm planning for the majority of the shadow of ink to be covered by my focal element, so I'm being generous with this ink. And once I've applied enough ink, I'll set this panel aside. Now I prepped for my main element off camera, and it comes from the new translucent foliage Craft Your Life project kit. I stamped some of the images from the stamp set in permanent black ink, and colored the images with the Water Garden artist marker set. I intentionally chose this set of markers because the brown set of markers comes from the Delectable Delights color family, so I used the Enchanted Garden and Sweet Dreams set of markers to color the stamped images. And then I added a margin of vanilla cream marker around the stamped outline. Again, this is the same color as my cardstock, and I wanted to hide the white outline when I used the coordinating dies to cut these images. After die cutting the images, I made my sentiment banner using one of the sentiments in the project kit and used milk chocolate as my ink to stamp. The style of coloring and my choice of background is all intentional. Like I mentioned earlier, the Rustic Burlap press plate has a fairly uniform texture to give the illusion of burlap. In order to balance this, I made and colored the translucent foliage in a more bold style for even more visual texture and interest. This way the background doesn't get lost in the focal point, and conversely the foreground elements don't get drowned by a bold background. It's all about opposition and harmony. After arranging the flowers and sentiment banner on top of the background, I added splatter and white enamel dots from the Essential Black and White enamel dot set. This is my first example of a modest background with a bold focal piece. Let's explore more examples with this balanced mindset. The Essential Textures Gilded Marble press plate is a bolder pattern. I love how quickly this press plate fills a background, but also leaves a bit of empty space for some inking techniques. I'm starting with a panel of white cardstock in my Better Press system. In the Sweet Dreams Fresh Dye ink set, I'm using dewdrops to ink up the plate. This ink coordinates with the Water Garden artist markers from the first card. I felt the need to use generally the same color palette for all 3 cards for some reason. But anyway, I'll run this through my die cutting machine for a light application of ink and texture on this white cardstock. If you have both the Glimmer system and the Better Press system, you can use the Better Press plates interchangeably on both. So I'll use that to my advantage and apply a gold foil in that opposite pattern on top of the dewdrops ink. I did this by rotating the panel 180 degrees so that I could capture the opposite pattern on this cardstock panel. I want to add a third color to this background, so I put this panel on my smaller sticky matte grid. Then I ink blended Wisteria Fresh Dye ink from Enchanted Garden Color family with a large ink blending brush. I only applied ink to 2 opposing corners on the foiled cardstock. My background choice is pretty bold now. You can quickly add a simple sentiment banner or die cut on top of this background and make a stunning clean card. However, I want to add another focal piece to this card. I'm digging in my Altenew stash for some solid yet interesting shapes to match my interesting background. I chose the leaves from Craft a Flower Blue Poppy Anemone to create a quick focal element to rest on this gilded background, kind of like a garnish on a charcuterie board. I cut 2 of the leaves from White's cardstock. Now I'll plan for my sentiments. I picked the Essential Sentiments hot foil plate and die on purpose because this made a rectangular panel to oppose the unstructured background. And also, I had already made a few banners in a previous perfect pairing tutorial, so I'm using this piece of gold cardstock to create a gold drop shadow to pair with the foiled Congrats sentiment banner. After foam mounting the leaves in this straight garland formation, I'll center and foam mount the gold sentiment banner. This finished card and the first card are opposites in principle. This time I have an intriguing background with a more subdued focal piece. Again, it's all about this balanced mindset when making better pressed backgrounds. The latest addition to the Essential Textures collection from Altenew is this Essential Textures Terrazzo press plate. To me, this background is a little bit of a uniform pattern like the first card, but has some unevenness like the second card. So what do we do in this case? First, I'm going to press this plate onto some spicy yogurt cardstock with vanilla cream fresh dye. I won't do anything else to this background once it's pressed, and I'll introduce a secondary background element. Now, I was going to use this plate with the now discontinued Stone Mosaic stamp set, but in my Altenew stash I found this Delicate Tiles stamp set, which is even better for this interior design theme card. I layered and stamped 2 identical tiles twice for a total of 4 tiles. I mixed and matched jet black, almond butter, teal cave, and limestone to create these stamped tiles. Then I used a square die from my crafting stash to cut out the 4 tiles. So what I've done is created a secondary background piece to this card. I took the modest terrazzo background and made it a little bit more interesting with the delicate tiles. Now I can create a more simple focal piece with some additional elements. I chose Sweet Sentiments die set for my sentiment intentionally. There's a lot of rigid shape happening with the 4 tiles and a rectangular terrazzo background. I thought the scripty sentiment would balance those elements. I also used the 2 larger branch images from Branches and Berries die set to create another horizontal garland. I used these 2 pieces together to be my focal point and sentiment for this card. I'll foam mount and center the 4 tiles on top of the terrazzo press plate background. On top of this background, I'll piece and glue the gold garland. Then finally, the Sweet Sentiment thanks. I finished this card with Rock Collection enamel dots to break up the symmetry of the composition. Those are my 3 examples using the favorite Essential Textures collection. These are my techniques I like to use when balancing backgrounds with foreground and focal elements. Terrazzo, Rustic Burlap, and Gilded Marble. What other textures would you like to see from Altenew? For me, I've been waiting for an industrious brick wall, or for us yarn crafters out there, maybe garter stitch or knit stitch. What do you think? Let me know in the comments what you'd like to see next. My series encourages you to shop your existing Altenew stash and rekindle their love with newer releases. Perfect Pairings with Jaycee airs on the Altenew channel every 2nd and 4th Sunday of the month. Please make sure you like and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for tuning in to this Perfect Pairing episode with me, and I'll see you in the next one.
Hey there, Lydia here. I really do hope that you've just enjoyed the video. If so, please subscribe to the Altenew YouTube channel. Also, turn on the notification bell so you can get your daily dose of crafty techniques and tutorials just like this. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.